When we talk about champions, we almost always talk about consistency, right? The athlete who just hits every mark every time. Discipline. But then you get the impossible legend, the one with this breathtaking talent that's only matched by an equally breathtaking temper. Today, we are deep diving into the story of Sweep Tosho, a Japanese racehorse whose talent was undeniable, but whose personality meant she lived her entire career completely, and I mean completely, on her own terms. Our mission here is to really get into the story of this untameable princess. Filly who could crush the best colts in the country, but who might also just decide to stop a training session cold. Or, famously, refuse to even walk to the starting gate.
And this story is so important for you, the learner, because Sweep Tosho is, well, she's a perfect case study of talent versus temperament. In almost any field, we look for rules, for predictable paths to success. But the real insight, it often comes from study of the exceptions, the ones who break the mold. Sweep Tosho was an exception to basically every rule in the book, and that is precisely why we're still talking about her.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start at the very beginning. She was born in 2001, a chestnut filly, and her pedigree was just built for speed and, let's be honest, probably a little bit of drama.
Oh, absolutely.
No.
Her sire was N-Sweep, and her dam sire was the legendary Dancing Brave. I mean, you can just see the potential for raw power right there in the bloodlines.
But here's the fun detail, and maybe the first clue about her personality. It's in the family names. Her dam was Tabitha Tosho, and her granddam was Samantha Tosho.
Which, if that sounds familiar to you.
It should. They're named after characters from the American TV show Bewitched.
Right. It's like they were building this slightly mischievous identity right into the family line from the start.
Yeah.
And Sweep Tosho's name fits perfectly, playing on her sire's name, to sweep away. It's like she was born to do just that.
And she really did, at least at first. She debuted in 2003, wins her first race. Then, right after that, she wins the Fantasy Stakes with her jockey Koichi Tsunoda. 2 starts, 2 wins. I mean, that's a dream start.
And the Fantasy Stakes is a G3 race, a Group 3. So for a 2-year-old, that is a serious high-level achievement. The magic was clearly there from day one. But, and this is the key to her whole story, the cracks started showing almost immediately. After that perfect start, she goes into the Hanshin Juvenile Fillies as a huge contender, and she finishes 5th.
Which isn't a bad result, but...
Exactly. It's not what you expect. And it was this immediate signal that consistency was probably never going to be her thing. The brilliant talent was there, but so was this deep, deep inconsistency driven by whatever mood she was in that day.
So that frustration, I guess, led to a big change when she turned 3. A stable move, which is a big deal. And it introduced her to the jockey who would define her whole career, Kenichi Ikezoe.
This partnership is just... it's central to the whole legend. What's so important to understand is that it worked, not because she suddenly got easier to handle,
right?
But because Ikezoe was just patient enough or maybe stubborn enough to just survive her. He learned to work around her.
Survive her. That's an amazing way to put it.
It raises such an interesting question, How much of an athlete's peak performance is just about finding that one person who gets their specific neurosis? Who can speak their language.
It sounds less like a jockey and more like a horse whisperer or a diplomat.
In a way, yeah, he had to be. And that diplomacy, it did start to pay off during her 3-year-old season, her classic season.
It did, but man, it must have been a frustrating ride. She wins the Tulip Show, another G3, which showed the talent was still there. But then in the huge races, the G1s, she just misses. She's 5th in the Oka Show.
The Japanese 1,000 guineas. A massive race.
And then a really heartbreaking second in the Japanese Oaks. And for anyone listening, the Oaks is a Triple Crown race for fillies. So she was right there knocking on the door of being an all-time great, but just couldn't quite get it done.
She was like a ticking time bomb of talent. You knew it was in there, you just didn't know when or if it would go off.
Until the autumn. The tension finally broke at the Shupa Show, the last leg of the fillies' Triple Crown. And there, she finally did it. She unleashed that just devastating late charge and got her first G1 title. The princess finally had her crown, but that was just the appetizer. At age 4, she steps up to take on the boys, the elite male horses. She was out to prove she wasn't just the best filly, but maybe the best horse, period.
And that's a whole different ballgame. Winning against your own gender is one thing. Taking on seasoned G1 winning males, that's the deep end.
And she proved she belonged right away, a strong second in the Yasuda Kinen. Then, just 2 weeks later, which is a really tight turnaround, they enter her in the Takarazuka Kinen.
One of the 2 biggest, most prestigious Grand Prix races in Japan.
Look who she was up against. Zeno Rob Roy, the reigning horse of the year. Tap Dance City, a monster of stamina. And a horse that would become a huge star, Heart's Cry.
It wasn't just a tough field. It was a field of absolute legends. So you can understand why the public sent her off as the 11th favorite. They just thought, she's too moody, too unreliable for a pressure cooker like this.
Well, she didn't seem to care about the odds. She just won. It was stunning. She swept past all of them with this late kick that made them look like they were standing still.
And the history of that moment, you really can't overstate it. She became the first mare in 39 years to win the Takarazuka Kinen. 39 years.
Oh.
It was this massive statement. It proved that when she felt like it, when she decided she wanted to run, she was basically untouchable. She could beat anyone.
She backed that up in the autumn, too, winning her third G1, the Queen Elizabeth II Cup. So she had the title, she had the reputation. But even as she was hitting her peak, that personality was starting to become a real problem.
A bigger problem.
At age 5, she gets a fracture. She's out for 11 months. I mean, for an athlete, that is an eternity. And for one with her temperament, it's got to be even harder to come back from.
It really seemed to make things worse. She did come back, and she had one last sort of flash of that old brilliance. She won the Kyoto Daisho 10, a G2 race.
Her final win.
And it was a reminder of the power she had. She just sliced through the field. But this is where the stories, the legendary anecdotes really start to take over. Her behavior became so extreme, it almost overshadowed her wins.
Okay, let's get into those. I've heard she would just refuse to cooperate.
Completely. There are famous stories of her refusing to walk to the starting gate with Ikezoe on her back. They couldn't force her. The stable staff had to lead her there by hand, with Ikezoe just walking beside her, trying to talk her into it.
That's unbelievable. She's demanding a personal escort just to go to work.
And then you have the carrot incident. For me, this is the story that perfectly captures her spirit. Ikezoe, her partner, offers her a carrot, a treat, a sign of affection.
A nice gesture.
A very nice gesture. And Sweep Tosho just spits it out directly in his face.
No way. She spit it in his face.
Right in his face. It wasn't malice, It was just her absolute unfiltered opinion. I do not want this carrot, and here's what I think of your offer.
That is just a whole other level of defiance. I've heard she would also just refuse to train sometimes, and they'd have to scratch her from major races.
All the time. And that leads to the big question everyone asks about her. The fans always say, if only she'd been more serious, she could have won so many more G1s. And they're probably right.
You can't separate the two sides of her, can you? The willfulness that made her a champion is the same willfulness that made her spit a carrot at her jockey.
Exactly. And that story continues after she retired. She goes to the breeding shed, and the expectations were, of course, through the roof.
She was bred to the best of the best, right?
The absolute titans. Deep Impact, Orfev, Kitasan Black. You could not give her better partners.
And what happened? Did the kids inherit the talent or the temper?
Well, surprisingly, her direct foals, they didn't become major winners. It seemed like that magic or that complexity didn't pass on directly. But then in the next generation, her granddaughter, Sweet Feed, won the 2024 Tulip Show.
The same race she won.
The very same one. So her bloodline was finally vindicated just a generation later.
It's a great story, but it also makes the end of her life feel even more tragic. She gave one last gift to the sport, though. In 2020, she had a colt by Deep Impact named Sweep Hours.
And that colt was the very last domestic foal of the legendary Deep Impact. So it linked these two incredible bloodlines one final time.
And here's the other amazing twist. For all her wild behavior on the track, the sources all say she was a really serious, caring mother in the paddock.
A totally different side to her. But then later that year, on December 5th, 2020, tragedy. She died very suddenly from intestinal torsion.
Oh, that's terrible.
And she was pregnant at the time with a foal by Swerve Richard, the Japan Cup winner. They lost them both. It was just a very sad, very abrupt end. A reminder of how fragile these amazing athletes are.
So when you put it all together, what's her legacy? She wasn't obedient. She definitely wasn't predictable. But she was a 3-time G1 winner, a Grand Prix champion, and a horse with this undeniable world-class talent.
I think her true value is that she reminds us that these horses aren't machines. They're individuals. They have pride, they have emotions, they have their own will. She proved that while a perfect training plan is great, sometimes pure, raw, unbridled will is the most powerful thing of all. She just lived life on her own terms.
She really did. She ran when she wanted, she stopped when she wanted, and when she decided it was time to fight, she swept everything away. So here's our final thought for you to chew on. Which champion leaves a deeper legacy? the perfect, disciplined one. Or the untameable one, whose brilliance was a rare gift, offered entirely on their own terms. That's the magic of Sweep Tosho.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more.